Even as Canada and the United States continue to point fingers at India while defending Khalistani terrorists who happen to be their citizens, yet another terror threat has been issued to Indian citizens, and it's the usual suspect. Khalistani terrorist Gurpatwant Singh Pannun. He has released a video warning people not to board Air India flights between the 1st and the 19th of November. He claims that an attack could take place on an Air India flight during that time, which he says coincides with the 40th anniversary of the Sikh genocide. Pannun had issued a similar hoax threat last year. In November 2023, the premier anti-terror agency, the National Investigation Agency, had filed a case against Pannun, who has been designated as a terrorist by India. On that occasion too, he had issued a video threat to passengers flying Air India. Pannun's latest threat comes at a time when several Indian airlines have received multiple bomb threat calls, all of which turned out to be hoaxes. Also, there is an ongoing case in a New York court where Pannun has claimed that there was an assassination plot against him by the government of India, and the Biden administration in the US has sought India's cooperation in the investigation into that case, as Pannun is an American citizen. Of course, Pannun is not the only Khalistani terrorist who a foreign government seems to be batting for. Last year's killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, another designated terrorist who was a Canadian citizen, has become a huge bone of contention, causing a massive diplomatic showdown between India and Canada. Canada has accused agents of the Indian government of being involved in Nijjar's killing on Canadian soil. Not only that, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has accused Indian diplomats of being directly involved. Charges that India has rubbished emphatically and repeatedly as preposterous and politically motivated. India recently withdrew its top 6 diplomats from Ottawa, citing security reasons, while expelling 6 Canadian diplomats. Remember, India for years now has accused Canada and the Trudeau dispensation of shielding, mainstreaming and legitimizing Khalistani terrorists, extremists and anti-India forces for cynical vote bank politics while ignoring New Delhi security concerns and extradition requests. Many of them are wanted in India on serious charges of terrorism and murder. Many of these Khalistani elements have openly threatened Indian diplomats and other citizens. But all their actions have been whitewashed by the Canadian government in the name of freedom of speech. Now, India's outgoing High Commissioner to Ottawa, Sanjay Verma, has made a sensational revelation, in some ways confirming what was suspected for a long time. Verma told a Canadian television network just before leaving that country, and I quote, "Khalistani extremists are being encouraged in Canada all the time. This is my allegation. I also know that some of these Khalistani extremists and terrorists are deep assets of Canada's Security Intelligence Service." The recalled Indian High Commissioner has accused Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of destroying relations between the two countries, while also clarifying that he had nothing to do with Nijjar's killing. He called the charges against him politically motivated. These are the first comments made by Verma after he was named as a person of interest in the killing of the Khalistani terrorist. Verma added that Trudeau's allegations over Nijjar's killing were based on intelligence inputs rather than concrete evidence. He told the CTV News network in Canada. The problem is that when he accused, he himself admitted there was no hard evidence. There was intelligence. On the basis of intelligence, if you want to destroy a relationship, be my guest. And that's what Trudeau did. When asked about India's alleged lack of cooperation, the envoy said, "Not a shred of evidence has been shared with us. Unfortunately, we haven't got anything from any Canadian official which can lead us to a better spot." Addressing the allegations levelled by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police that Indian diplomats were leveraging their positions to coerce individuals and businesses to collect information on pro-Khalistanis on behalf of the Indian government, Verma said, "All information was overt. I, as High Commissioner of India, have never done anything of that kind. That's one. Second, my colleagues, do we want to know what pro-Khalistani elements in Canada are doing? Yes, we do. That's my national interest." However, he stressed that there was nothing covert. It's all overt. So we read the newspapers, we read their statements, since we understand Punjabi, we read their social media posts and try to infer from there. Slamming the Canadian regime, Verma said it was a bedfellow with those trying to challenge India's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Verma also questioned why Justin Trudeau had not gone to court with his allegations against India. He slammed Trudeau for his lack of evidence. He said, gone are the days when the Western Bloc would tell a developing country, you must do this, and that country would run after them and do exactly that. Niger, who was declared a terrorist by India, was shot dead outside a Gurudwara in Surrey, British Columbia in June last year. Relations between the two countries came under severe strain following Trudeau's allegations in September last year of a potential involvement of Indian agents in Niger's killing. However, testifying before the public inquiry into foreign interference in federal electoral processes and democratic institutions last week, Justin Trudeau admitted that he only had intelligence and no hard evidentiary proof when he alleged the involvement of Indian government agents in the killing of Niger. What's more, Canada's top opposition leaders are accusing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of using the escalating diplomatic row with India for his political gains and a mere distraction from his own failures at home. Maxime Bernier, who leads People's Party of Canada, said last week, if true, allegations made by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and the Liberal government that Indian diplomats participated in criminal activities on our territory are very serious and should be dealt with. So far, however, we haven't been given any proof. And Trudeau is clearly using this crisis to divert the attention from other controversies. Bernier also rubbished the claims that Hardeep Singh Nijjar was a Canadian citizen. Bernier said Nijjar was a foreign terrorist and he should have been deported to India. Bernier said, and I quote, one myth should be dispelled, that the central figure in this controversy, Hardeep Singh Nijjar, the Khalistani militant who was murdered last year, was a Canadian. He was actually a foreign terrorist who used fraudulent documents to claim asylum in Canada several times starting in 1997. His claims were rejected, but he was nevertheless allowed to stay in this country and was somehow granted citizenship in 2007. The People's Party of Canada leader went on to urge the Trudeau government to revoke Niger's citizenship posthumously and correct this administrative error, as he put it. He said, Niger was not a Canadian. We should perhaps posthumously take away his citizenship to right this administrative error. He should have been deported after his first fake asylum claim, like the hundreds of thousands of fake asylum claimants who are in Canada right now. Bernier then added, all this is happening because Canada for decades has deliberately invited these foreigners and their tribal conflicts into our country. We should recognize this major blunder and work with the government of India to find solutions instead of jeopardizing our relations with a rising world power and an important ally over this issue. The question we're asking on Global Lens tonight is this. Do the United States and Canada believe that it is free speech when their citizens, designated as terrorists by India, openly threaten Indian citizens? Like the 1985 Kanishka bombing, are they waiting for another plane to be blown up, for more people to be killed, for more blood to be spilled, before they take seriously India's repeated accusations against these extremist elements and the grave security threat to India posed by these forces? This when these countries call India an ally. Is this how you treat an ally and a fellow democracy? And what about the hypocrisy of it all? The United States, Israel, many other countries brag about taking out their enemies on foreign soil. Yet the Western world is today lecturing India about the need to respect their territorial integrity and sovereignty while conveniently ignoring New Delhi's security concerns.